back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. We're getting back in the garage on the Mazda project today. I'm running a little tight on time because, I don't know, I wasn't feeling good, and the hecticness of the last week of going to Carlisle and coming home and trying to find gas and all that stuff for the welders. So we're getting back in here. We're going to make some progress today. Not totally sure what that progress is, but between today and tomorrow, we're going to do something. As you can see, there is crap everywhere. I can't set anything down if I wanted to. So, I need to clean all this up. I need to get all of the tanks out of the back of my truck. I went to the welding shop twice yesterday. Once was too early because they didn't have their delivery in. But I finally got some fresh argon so we can do some more TIG welding on the exhaust to finish that up. The stainless steel rod, I don't know, I guess it's on indefinite back order from Amazon, so I'm not going to get that part of the exhaust done, the actual hanging of it, which I can do some of it with the tabs that, again, we made a couple weeks ago. I can at least add a couple of those in there today. I need to measure out for shocks. I think we're going to finally start taking the interior apart so we can actually start the body drop soon. So interior might come out today, which basically just consists of the seat and the carpet. Front bumper needs to come off. The front fenders need to come off. The bumper has to come off because actually 90% of this stuff here needs to come off because the truck's going to get body dropped 1.5 inches, meaning all of this stuff needs to get moved down 1.5 inches. So we're going to be doing some welding, we're going to be doing some removing and some thinking and probably a lot of rambling. So if you've never been here before, again, I'm Crawford. This is Virginia for Lowriders. Please subscribe. Don't forget to do all of the other things that all the YouTubers constantly ask you to do, because it helps. Helps with the algorithm and helps me stop rambling. So, yeah, subscribe. Check it out. Go look at the old videos. Let's do something about this, and then start doing stuff about this, and stop rambling. All right, we have room to move about. And while doing all of that, I remembered that I actually said in the last week's video, we are going to get the truck started so we can hear what the exhaust sounds like. I still can't find, I have one of these little kits. They have multiple kits. Can't find my fine point stuff to finish welding the header, but it's a spot about this big that I can't get into. But we're going to start it up anyway. I'm going to start it up with the old gasket just so we can see what the exhaust sounds like, and if it sounds like crap with my tiny little muffler or not. So that's the plan. We're going to get it started, and then we're going to work on taking stuff apart and mounting the exhaust to where it doesn't have to be held up with a jack stand, at least in a couple spots for now with those guys. So we actually have a game plan. So let's do that. So I have this cutoff piece that I used for something else. I'm hoping that I can cut this at the right angle to fit it on the end of this guy to get this to go below the frame rail. So I'm going to work on getting that fit. I need to finish welding this, and then we need to at least get these tack welded into a place to build a hanger off of the frame. So I'm thinking like maybe something around here. Not totally sure. I'd like to do something where it actually supports the weight, so maybe one here. It's kind of high. But yeah, I also, none of this stuff is, like, it's kind of just sitting in there, so this can be moved quite a bit with the flex of the bellow in the front. So I need to give myself a little growth for the bag room, because I also want to build a aluminum shield to keep the heat away from this guy. So yeah, fit this, weld that on. Maybe we'll jump straight to satisfying starting stuff, and then we'll make a mount for it. Maybe. Even though I should probably make the mount first. That way I'm not running exhaust through the brand new tubing that I'm going to be welding to. But I don't make the best decisions in the world, so it's cool. Yeah, let's do that. Alright. That's a pretty good look. That way, because I know the bed's going to be down here, I can basically come off of that anywhere in this range and have plenty of room to work with. So I think that'll work out good. I figure the bed probably down here. So yeah, that'll work fine. I'll go ahead and get that tack welded on and pull it off at the V-band, and then weld these two guys here together. Quick release. Alright, impatience is leading us to just wanting to like listen to stuff. So we're gonna fill up the bowl. I don't remember which one of these holes is the bowl, but we're gonna just fill them all up in hopes. I mean, I think it's leaking. At least it's leaking in the right spot, or hopefully the right spot. So we are gonna put enough in there to run it for a few minutes. Hopefully I didn't just flood it out. We'll see. And see what this thing sounds like. Well, it makes noise. It's definitely louder than it used to be. Not totally sold on the new muffler. I had a MagnaFlow on there before, which might end up being what goes back on it. Besides the whole me flooding it out because I dumped gas in not the bowl, and it sounded like a tractor when I first started up. After it smoothed out, it didn't sound too bad. It's got a good rumbly, not total Honda Bumblebee sound at idle. Gets a little raspy at high RPMs, but I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it on there. See what it sounds like after you start driving it around. It's also kind of hard to tell because I can't run it long enough for it to actually warm up, since I don't have a fan or a belt or anything on the engine right now. So yeah, at least I know the truck still runs after sitting here for however long it's been. So now that we got that guy going, yeah, there's no heat in that at all. a little bit on the bends. But yeah, we'll move on to making some mounts real quick, and we'll just ADD our way through something else like we normally do. Kind of thinking pulling the interior apart. That seems like the thing to do. I know that I still have to section that cross member from last week's video with the exhaust because it touches in one spot. It's not a big deal though. I think that I'm going to save a lot of laying on my back work for one video. Like, there's going to be a lot of random stuff to be done under there with the body drop, with welding the floor back together and all that stuff, because I'm going to do a traditional because I don't really have anywhere to put the cab during the body drop. I don't know. Something about all of this, I really don't want to cut the frame any more than I already have, which is probably going to turn into more work anyway. So there's that. Yeah, it's getting kind of late. Can't tell. We'll mess with some stuff a little bit more and then call it a night and get out of here, hopefully early in the morning. Well, it is Sunday now, and it is like 7 o'clock, and I didn't do any work today because I was laid up in the bed with a fever of like almost 102, and I spent almost the entire day laying in bed sweating, and I just can't sit still, so I forced myself to come outside and we can at least try and get something done. Last night we started it, and after that I was going downhill quick. I had zero energy, and I don't think starting this truck up in this little garage and have all these fumes with me flooding this thing out was probably the best thing for me. But nevertheless, we're out here today. I think all the sitting in the house let me do some thinking about the exhaust last night, and I talked myself out of running the muffler that's on the truck, which I kind of felt like that was going to happen because I said it like 3 times that if this muffler doesn't sound good, I'm going to take it off. And it doesn't sound good. It sounds like a little tractor, and it's raspy. It sounds kind of terrible. So it's basically straight piped at this point. So I ordered a MagnaFlow. I'm going to put a little picture of it in the video. So as much as I want to hang the exhaust, I don't think it's the best idea to hang the exhaust without that muffler being in there first. It's going to be tight because it's like a standard normal muffler. It's kind of bigger, so it'll be tight in there. It might have to sit in there at a little bit of an angle too. So I'm gonna wait till that comes in. It should be in here midweek. And again, we're going to Hershey Wednesday, so y'all will see another video Wednesday evening, hopefully. I try to edit those while we're driving home. And yeah, I feel like crap. We're gonna try and get something done. Let's take the interior apart and then go from there. I gotta figure out which random vehicle in my yard I'm gonna stuff all this stuff into because I don't have any room in anything else. Yeah, let's do that instead of rambling. So I got in my random hoarding of new parts, new master cylinder. Well, I was gonna say new booster, but they're all refurbs now. I don't think you can even buy a new one if you wanted to. Got some fresh mirrors because these are doing some really weird stuff where they're like, I don't know, slowly crumbling. I don't think there'll be much of a mirror left if I was to drive that around like that. Yeah. Well, it's always a pleasant surprise when you take the carpet out and you find 4 mice that are about this big that apparently have been going to town on the wiring inside of the cab. It's great, and it smells absolutely terrible inside of here. So This part's going to take a little longer than I was like originally planning, because it smelled perfectly fine until I lifted that carpet up. Man, it is rough. I don't know how long they've been in there, but there's a lot of pee and poop for sure. And you gotta try and get this like sort of glued down and halfway rusted in place. The sound deadener out of here. That stuff is extremely flammable, and apparently it got wet at some point and started to rust, so that's pretty cool. I did work in here before it was mine, and I put the wheel tubs in, but it never went any further down. So that'll be interesting to see what we find under there. Everything else looks pretty good though. There's no rust, just maybe here. Nothing else in here. Just a lot of mouse droppings, we'll say. God, that is nasty. That is a rough smell. I was already not feeling good. Man, that is not making it any better. I cleaned a lot of mouse poop out of stuff, but I don't know what these dudes are eating. I guess when you eat Mazda wiring for a couple months, maybe it makes your poop smell 10 times worse. That is rank. I'm pretty sure there's still one in here. I tried to pick up the little teeny tiny guys. And of course they slipped out of my hands. I'm pretty sure there's one inside of here still. I don't know. I'll let this soak again. Right. It is smelling slightly better, but I did find some rust. It's not that bad. Just a little bit, which I'm not too worried about because, again, it's getting body dropped, so most likely that part's going to get cut up anyway. So now that the interior is out and smelling a little bit better, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the front bumper, maybe pull the fenders, the grill. You gotta take the cowl off, which is not really bolted on anyway. Whole front clip. That way we can feel like we got something done this weekend. And I apologize for feeling like crap and not getting a super interesting video. But we are making progress. So that's always good. This grill really isn't bolted on, at least not very well. My buddy that I bought this from did the like 98 or whatever year Ranger headlight swap, and I'm not a fan of that stuff. I went with the 93 Mazda grill just because I've actually never seen one of these in person on an actual truck. And you can get them off eBay for like, I think when I bought it was like $70, which seemed really, really cheap. But in putting factory headlights back in it, he cut out all of this, so I had to weld all of that in from a parts truck. Always a good sign of a quality build when the bumper is held together with a drywall screw. It's pretty sweet. All right, we got a bunch of stuff unbolted. You can see what I did here. Last time it was here, I did these wheel wells and I actually brought this in about 2 inches or so into the cab. Let's see here. So it's already tubbed pretty far. I mean, this goes, it's kind of hard to tell, but it goes way up in there. Same thing on the other side. This looks like it'll be pretty straightforward. I'll post pictures of how I did my Chevy. I did a 96 Sierra a couple years ago, and I traditionaled that also because I'm lazy, and I think traditional in a little tiny garage, unless you want to like jack the cab up, which I obviously don't have any room here. Jack the cab way up and suspend it while you're doing the framework, or take the truck outside, take the cab off, pull the frame back in, modify the frame, and then do everything in reverse. Unless you have the space and the time and all that stuff, which technically sometimes it may be easier. I personally would rather do a little bit of sheet metal work. 1.5 inches isn't a whole lot. I mean, if I was going to cut the pinch weld off and go for the full 3 inches and all that, I would stock floor it for sure. But I'm not doing all that. Looking for 1.5 inches. We want to keep the factory 4-wheel drive sheet metal intact. I kind of want to run the fender flares if I can, so I think traditional's easiest, quickest, and I don't know. I don't see any downside to it. You're losing cab room, but 1.5 inches really isn't much. Running a smaller wheel, there's already a ton of room in here. It's not like, I don't know. I'm not a super big guy. Yeah. It'll be alright. So, since this is rusted, I'm thinking my cut is going to be through here. So, it'll get cut. I'll cut out this section. The floor will come up 1.5 inches, and then I just have to fill the gap. That'll still give me a room for all of my pedals, because, I mean, adding 1.5 inches of height really isn't that much for this. There is a ton of room with the factory trans. You see in here, ton of room between the trans and the firewall. As far as the frame rails go, it's basically a matter of just chopping off here, moving everything down, filling in the gap. So these are going to get cut off because they're not utilized anymore. These are getting cut off, so all of this will get cleaned up, and yeah, I think it'll look pretty good. The back cab wall, I'm kind of thinking, my last truck, again I'll post pictures of it, I sectioned it in the center and put it back together and butt welded it all the way across and body worked and all that. I'm kind of thinking on this one, cutting it down along this seam all the way around and basically moving it up and filling in the gap rather than cutting it out of the wall. I think that this would be cleaner looking. Like looking at the back of the cab, you wouldn't even be able to tell. The Chevy is easier because on the Chevrolet, all of this stuff is symmetrical. It's just lines all the way down. This thing is so crazy and has so much going on that he'd have to like take it out of the center, and then yeah, I think cutting that bottom edge probably will work out better. Man, I am out of breath. Yeah, I think that's it for tonight. Sorry, it wasn't a super interesting video, but it's stuff that needs to be done. Like, yeah, I think I'm going inside and take some NyQuil and pass out. So I will see you guys again on Wednesday at Hershey. Hopefully there's some cool stuff. Hopefully I can find some cool stuff to purchase. Maybe some Mazda stuff or stuff for other projects. Who knows? Hershey is huge. So again, if y'all haven't been here before, please subscribe. I apologize for Not a super interesting video, but I am dragging butt today. So, yeah. Enough rambling and complaining. See y'all on Wednesday.